We're going to take the North and never give it back.
So that's a good pick. You get the corner. I got to go bold, right? I got to go bold for this.
Yeah, she's got some nice.
Welcome back to the Unbearable Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Brad Barron. Make sure to like and subscribe if you are out there on YouTube. And always rate the show 5 stars everywhere that you get your podcast. You can download it. Just search for Unbearable Sports. But victory today. We are celebrating a victory over the Los Angeles Rams. And quite frankly, it feels good. It feels great because we were talking about this beforehand, where if you can get 2-2 to start the season, that's what we were projecting. On the show, we were saying start 2-2 in the first 4 games. Now you have this easier slate of games that is coming up. And also, you're looking better and better and better. Today, we're going to be breaking down the offense, defense, special teams, and a lot more. So make sure to hit that like button. But also, for everyone that's out there on YouTube, make sure to check us out because we'll be going live tomorrow to break down the all 22. And we'll talk about every single offensive play. We'll see how many defensive plays we can get out there. But the offense is fun, so I hope to see y'all out there. Shy Drax, my friend, what is good? Saying Bears, dub, game ball goes to, Dingo ate my punt returner. King Tory Taylor, that's what Shy Drax is saying out there. Yeah, we'll go through the most valuable Bear. Shy Drax with his all ready, because Tory, we asked for it in the pregame. We said that Tory needed a big game. He gave us that big game today. Absolutely great game for Tory Taylor. But let's talk a little bit about just the overall summary. Because today, I felt like this was a good team win, where I don't think that any particular group really kind of carried the other, I felt they all did their job. And also, there was some good and there was some bad with each group. Doesn't mean things are terrible. Doesn't mean that things weren't awesome. But to me, this is what you want to see. You want to see the run game help out your quarterback. You want to see your quarterback run the offense that's put out there. And you want to see the offense not be weird and the defense play well and the defense create turnovers. There's a lot of good team football out there. And I mean, Tory Taylor played very well as well. But when you look overall, it was just a good team win, just a good game. And like we said, this was going to be a little difficult because even though that the Rams were very banged up, this is still coached by Sean McVay. McVay's going to have something out there, but ultimately, Bears do well. Bears do great. And so far, right now we have 12% of you saying you're grading this as an A, 50% grading it as a B, 30% saying C, and 10% of you saying D. We'll wait for more of those votes to kind of come trickling in. But let's get started. And I kind of want to talk about some of the inactives. I always like to kind of talk about the inactives, the injuries, and everything else that's going on. Velus continues to be a healthy scratch. Same thing with Dominic Robinson. And also, Kari Blasingame, the fullback, which we then ended up seeing that we didn't need a fullback because we used the center, Doug Kramer, to be our fullback instead. But also, it kind of points this out where, do you really need a fullback if you have 3 tight ends? Gerald Everett and big dog Mercedes Lewis, who got the game ball today for most games ever played as a tight end, surpassing Jason Witten. But also Bill Murray and Zach Pickens was actually injured. Terrell Smith was actually injured, but Bill Murray as a healthy scratch. But the reason why I also want to bring up the injuries is because of the injury to Tevin Jenkins. Tevin Jenkins having a ribs injury. And typically with ribs injuries, that's not something that's going to keep you out for an extended period of time. So we just have to keep our ears to the ground and just kind of hear what's going to happen with him. But I wanted to bring this up too, because you see Bill Murray not being out there. Matt Pryor shifts over to left guard, kind of gets beaten very quickly early on. And then you have Nate Davis doing, from first glance, didn't look terrible out there as well. So that's where I can't wait to go through the all 22 just to see, what did Davis do? Did he look significantly better? How did it feel? But also, I'm curious to see what they do with the offensive line, because Karan Amagaji continues to be a player that is not a healthy scratch, but he never ends up going out there. And it might just be because they're only putting him out there at left tackle. We really haven't heard much about where he is, but we knew that he was damaged goods when we drafted him, and they're probably going to give him a red shirt type of a year. But it is interesting that he's not in healthy scratch like some of these other players. But also, too, just want to throw this out there, Larry Borum should be able to come back from that temporary IR stint, and he could potentially come back into the swing of things. Maybe they like him at guard. Just wanted to throw that out there because this is after week 4, so some of those people on that short-term IR could potentially start coming off. Think about this too. Jacob Martin might also be coming back, but honestly, you don't need Jacob Martin the way that this defensive line is currently playing. I could see him maybe being, essentially scratched or like left off the team because I don't know how you're going to fit him into this defensive line rotation. But let's see what y'all are saying out there too. We got Scottish Bear, what's good, my friend, saying Caleb completed 70% passing with poor O-line play. Broski saying he gave it a C. Defense was above average, but gave up too much ground on offense. Was average at times. Definitely, we'll definitely talk about that because that's actually my big point with the defense was the running game. But also, yes, hit the like button, and yes, all 22 tomorrow. Hope to see everybody out there. Ron, my friend, what's going on? And Scottish saying Braxton continues to deal with anyone who's got a bit of strength. Yeah, Jones is getting pushed back into the face of Caleb Williams. I have a stat for you for sure. And Gypsy Mike saying they scripted 1 or 2 read plays and made him throw them. It's the only way he can get rid of the ball in 3 seconds or less. Defense won us another game. So let's go over to this offense, shall we? I want to talk a little bit about it because overall, how did we feel about this offense? How did we feel that they did overall? Because when you look at the stats, a total of 133 passing yards when you take out the 3 sacks for -24. 1 passing touchdown from Caleb Williams over to DJ Moore. Good grab by DJ Moore. I actually think he didn't get enough credit for how good of a catch that was. Very good catch by DJ Moore. And also him going against a linebacker. Good throw, good catch from them. But then you look at the running game. That's the story of today. DeAndre Swift, who we've been critical of in the film reviews and just the stats, everything, had a very good game. This is what he needed. 16 carries, 93 yards with a long of 36 and a touchdown. Roschon Johnson coming in, 7 carries for 26 yards and a touchdown. And Caleb running it a little bit more. 5 carries, some of those were knees for 12 yards and a long of 7. But then also with the receiving, DeAndre Swift led all receivers technically with 7 receptions for 72 yards. But the biggest receiver, Cole Kmet, with 3 catches for 34 yards, targeted 3 times. And DJ Moore being third, 3 for 22. Keenan, 3 for 19. And Rome, 1 for 10. So overall, when you're looking at this, you would like to see a little bit gaudier, bigger passing numbers, for sure. If you're looking purely at those stats, that's one of the things that's a little frustrating. But also when I actually ended up looking a little bit more at some of the advanced metrics and just some of the stats, where are we throwing it, other pieces like that. And I want to actually just start off talking about Caleb before we get into the running game, where, yet again, I feel like Caleb is doing well, right? Rookie quarterback, you expect some growing pains. He's doing well. I still don't love that there's these weird off connections with him and DJ. I still don't love that. I still don't love that. I feel like DJ secretly hates it here now, where just his body language about a lot of those things, that I don't love. But I want to say this. Caleb Williams was perfect throwing 0 to 10 yards. He was perfect throwing at or behind the line of scrimmage, 2 of 3 from 10 to 20, but 0-4 for the deep ball. That was also kind of his calling card. Why is this still not looking cohesive? Why is this still not looking great? That's where what it seems like, we have that one where he threw it to DJ. DJ just kind of slowed down a little bit. But to me, it's why have we only completed 2 deep balls in the entire season, and one of those of which was a Hail Mary. So that's something that it's just something that they need to get tuned up, because every deep ball that they pass, it just is gross. It's just nasty. But yet again, decent game, right? He didn't lose the game for them. That's what you want out of that rookie quarterback. So that's my feeling just from the quarterback itself, but also he had more time to throw. They had more developments that they wanted to be rolling out there. 2.98 average time to throw. And this kind of goes back to just how he plays. 7.6 intended air yards, which was kind of middle of the pack, but his completed air yards were 3.6, which was top 5 for the shortest average completion. Yet again, they're trying to take these deeper shots, but ultimately the only things that are being completed are more of those shorter passes that are out there. But the good part, 10.9% completion percentage over expected. So yet again, the next gen stats at least like that the accuracy that he's throwing with a little bit better than normal. But I also want to see what y'all are saying out there in the comments too, because after my little rant about what I felt about Caleb Williams, just kind of solid, right? I thought that good game. I don't think we need to be complaining about it by any sense. I would like to see the numbers better though. But let's see. Yeah, Ron's saying Caleb is getting better. Agreed. Broski saying Braxton is a bum. I'm done with him. Need a left tackle and a center. Yeah, you can find guards for sure. I definitely agree with that. Taco Man, what's good, my friend? Saying we still can't run the ball when we want to. Yeah. Like we'll talk about the running game next because I got some ideas on that. And then when Tevin got hurt, it all started to click. Yeah, actually, good point. Good point. It did kind of feel that way. And Muck saying, yeah, it's time to end the Braxton Jones experiment. Yeah, I think that's where things are kind of going out there. But also, Bears Junkie saying, bear down. What's good, my friend? Judah's out there as well. And then also Broski, yeah, Sanborn. I wore this because my bold prediction was Jack Sanborn was going to get a sack. So I wore my Jack Sanborn jersey. I saw him get put in on a blitz. Ultimately, didn't come up with. I was like, oh man, I'm going to be so happy. Nothing. So Brisker ends up getting the sack instead. So ultimately, yeah. So let's see. Let's see what else is out there. Just kind of reading through some of the other comments that y'all have out here too. But yeah, let's talk about this. Let's talk about this running game because this is something that was going a lot better than it normally has. Where the running game we've always struggled with, we've been one of the worst running teams out there. It now all of a sudden starts to click. Couple things that you could start to notice. And we've said this and talked about this in our data deep dives where we've been running it left a lot. Now we've been running it more right. And I actually have the numbers up here. Let me just find this real quick. 1 second. I know that I had this somewhere in my notes, but I just can't find it. Oh yes, here we go. So 12 of their runs were ran to the right when it was when Swift was in the backfield. They ran 12 times to the right-hand side and only 4 to the left. This is where we just haven't seen running to the left necessarily work. Doesn't mean like they didn't run it to the right before, but it was just a noticeable trend that they kept on doing throughout this game. Also, before anybody starts yelling about left versus right, keep in mind too, Jared versus their best defensive lineman. He's a phenomenal run defender, so it makes sense that you run it to the right. So they run it to the right because also Braden Fisk was a lot of times on that left-hand side as well, who was, as we saw, creating a lot of penetration. But also, I like the idea of trying to run it on the right because the left hasn't necessarily worked. So good game plan to just basically be like, you know what? Verse always plays on that left-hand side. Run it right. Simple things. And it led to more yards, and it just led to more efficient play. Just something that was great to see. So that's what my whole feeling of that was. But also, DeAndre Swift, we talked about this. He is a guy that when you give him space, when he's able to be out there in the open space, he's able to do good things. They threw a couple different screen passes to him, but also you saw Caleb dumping it off to him, and then he was able to do something after the catch. And quite frankly, DeAndre Swift looked angry out there. Like he looked like he was running with a purpose. We have not seen that. We have not seen him hurdle over a defender. We've seen him trip over a defender, but we haven't seen him hurdle and play that tough and play that hard. But also, when you look at the advanced metrics, it points back to, first off, did he face just lighter boxes? No, it was actually, they loaded the box more than they ever had. Typically, it's always been around 10% loaded 8-man fronts. He faced a loaded front on 31% of his carries, 3 times more than he normally has. But you look at his efficiency, 3.3 yards. What does that mean? He's not dancing as much. He's going, he's running, he's just running, right? He's doing more things like that, like we've been talking about. So he was more efficient running it up the middle. And then also too, in space, when they would throw it to him, he was able to do that because that's his specialty. When he's out in space, he can do something. But yet again, as a running back, you kind of just got to get that simple stuff. So good game from DeAndre Swift overall. And also, rush yards over expected. He's typically been in that -3 type of yard range, -2 type of yard range. 1.58. So positive rush yards after over expected. So data backs it up, and we'll watch it tomorrow. I assume that we're going to still see what we saw today. Swift had a very good game. So very, very good. Loved seeing that. But let's continue to talk a little bit more. Another thing that I really like, speaking of the run game, is that they put Roschon Johnson in the red zone. At first, when I saw Swift out there, I'm like, why do we have Swift in the red zone? And I literally jotted it down. Like, don't put him in the red zone. Keep Roschon out there. You see Roschon getting the hard-earned yards. You see him kind of being able to bulldoze. Even when they needed a couple yards, that's what you wanted. And we talked about this. This is not a good run defense. This is not a good defense overall that you're going against. But the fact that we were actually able to impose our will in the running game, it felt like where we need a couple of yards, we could get it by just handing it to Roschon. That is a good sign. That is something good, because if they didn't, we'd be like, yo, we can't even do this against the Rams defense. You kidding me? So I'd rather see it than not see it. But I thought Roschon ran hard. It's stuff that you love to see. But then also, Khalil, you didn't really see out there too much. But yet again, Khalil's not a good pass blocking running back. And when you think about who you want out there, if Swift is playing this hard and Roschon is running like this hard as well, you want to see those guys out there. So I thought great game for the running game, but I'm looking at some other things. I already mentioned DJ Moore. Just like, he's your number one receiver. Make sure that connection is good, because every time they go to DJ, something just looks off. Maybe he's banged up. Like, it just never seems to click the way that you expect it to be with your number one wide receiver and number one quarterback. But also, too, we got to talk about the offensive line, because I already see there's a lot of stuff out there about the offensive line. And we said this pre-show. Jared Verse, he wins with the bull rush. He wins with power. What does Braxton do? He goes backwards a lot. Jared Verse averaged 2.96 yards of separation from the quarterback. On average, an average defensive end gets 4.57 yards of separation close to the quarterback. What does that mean? It means that he was constantly pushing Braxton Jones back into the quarterback. And y'all didn't need me to tell you that. We all watched the same game. And I think that's what's difficult, is when you have Braxton, and we've said this before, when he's constantly getting pushed back into the lap of the quarterback, what do you do? Because it's hard, because it's this weird piece, because you go, okay, well, at least he's not running around him like you see other bad tackles happen. But at the same time, you're like, he's a rookie quarterback. And, credit to Caleb, there's a play where he's sandwiched with his two tackles, and he's throwing like this, and he's just trying to just dump it off. That's something that was difficult to see. And it's hard for a rookie quarterback to feel like that left tackle is going to be pushed into his lap consistently. So that is something that's a little frustrating to see, because we were kind of hoping that Braxton could do something. But honestly, it's that pushing back, and yeah, it was rough. But then also too, we saw Coleman Shelton get absolutely swim moved, and then on one of the sacks, because it was Coleman Shelton gets whooped, Roschon Johnson ends up blocking the person. He blocks the person better than Coleman Shelton did. And then you have another free rusher that should have been Roschon Johnson's guy, but Roschon has to take Coleman Shelton's guy, and then the sack happens. So that's where it's people, you just have to win it's a game of matchups. It's a game like they've talked about to Shane Waldron. You have to beat the person in front of you. You have to be able to do that. And yeah, Shelton ultimately not great out there as well. So that's my feeling. But also, yeah, other than that, I'm just looking at this, the other offensive plays. Yeah, I want them to keep on trying to run more fast tempo, because I see Don Burr out there saying Jaden making it look easy. Yeah, because I want to also highlight this too with Jaden Daniels. He has Cliff Kingsbury, a college coach, as his offensive coordinator. They don't have to run anything too complex. They're going to run more of an offensive system that is very familiar to a college quarterback. So I think that's something where you see the hot start with a Jaden Daniels as compared to like a Caleb Williams, where I think Caleb is trying to truly master it. And I know that Don's going to probably think that that's a cop-out answer, but it really is. Like, he's trying to run more of a pro-style offense, but ultimately, we'll see. We'll see. It's, the game is not just, it's actually the way that everything is covered is 1 week hot take, 1 week hot take, 1 week hot take. It's long season, long careers out there for sure. So, yeah. And also, I agree with Taco Man. It looks like they took some off his plate this week. Yeah. It's like as soon as the run game's going, it's like, sweet. You can just take these easier dump offs. You can do these easier things. But still, the deep ball. That is my biggest concern so far, is that why is that deep ball not clicking? Because it's so off. Like, I wish that there was a stat for how far off his passes were. Just when he throws it, just absolutely not even close to the wide receivers when it's deep. That's something that, all the time. So, but yeah, we'll review the tape tomorrow. So if those that are just listening to the podcast, feel free to come on. We'll probably go live 7:30, maybe earlier, actually most likely 7:30. That's probably going to be the time, 7:30 Central Time. But let's talk about the defense. And actually, before we do that, I want to just talk about one other thing on the offense. Why didn't we go for 2 after we scored the touchdown? Like, I just want to throw that out there. I felt like no one was talking about that. We scored the touchdown. We were up, 8? And with this, it's like, okay, and I guess you could say, well, then it's a 1-score game. They could get a touchdown. They end up kicking the extra point. I don't know. Part of me was like, should you have gone for 2 there to then make it a true 2-score game with field goal and then a touchdown? So just wanted to throw that out there, because part of me was like, I don't know. I just had a feeling. I'm like, they're going to come back. They're going to kick a field goal. Then they're going to try and score a touchdown. Ultimately, everything worked out. Just wanted to throw that out there. So let's flip over to the defense and talk about this, because the defense played well. And I hesitate because they did well, but there's one key piece that I see some of y'all are calling out there that I credited, and I was like, this is something that we need to see out there for the Bears, because they were going against one of the worst rushing attacks. And what happened? Kyren Williams went off. And this is something where we gave up a lot of yards week 1. We didn't week 2. We did week 3, and now we did week 4. Kyren Williams, 19 carries for 94 yards, 4.9 yards a carry. And Ronnie Rivers, 6 carries, 26 yards, and 4.3 yards a carry. And keep in mind, too, Kyren Williams' longest carry was for 14 yards. So it's not like how DeAndre Swift had 1 carry for 36, where it's this big gain that kind of juices up those average rushing yards. We gave up a lot of rushing yards to Kyren Williams, where this rushing attack has not been active. That is something, yet again, we'll just continue to repeat every week. Bears are going against one of the best slates of running backs this year and rushing attacks. So they need to make sure that this is buttoned up and good to go. And it's awesome to see that the defensive line is playing well, but you need, this is our calling card. This is actually an Eberflus defense's calling card, is stopping the run and stuffing that. We did not do a good job at that today. And that's why I'm hesitant. That's why when we were saying great team win, it was everybody played well, but I don't think any unit played great, because, hey, we got 3 sacks. It's a bad offensive line, but we got 3 sacks. We were able to kind of put him under duress all the time. And when you look at the stats too, Jaquan Brisker went off. 12 tackles, 1 sack, 2 tackle for losses. Pass defense should have had 2 interceptions, just had 1 interception, though officially, because of the whole coming back in. Brisker had a great game. And then also Javon is looking really good. Montez Sweat got a sack, strip sack. This defense played well. This defense played very, very well, was able to kind of get the ball back and force some turnovers. And to me, that's what you want, right? But you got to stop the run. That's where this is not a great, it's not a great team win. It's a team win, right? It's just one word, team win, right? That's what we did. But when you look at the other stats, TJ Edwards was also flying around there, 9 tackles, and it really was nice to see, just because, like we've shown before, TJ Edwards, not a great PFF grade. And also, just when you watch the game, TJ Edwards has missed some tackles, not played as great. TJ Edwards thought he had a good good game out there. But also, let's see what else is there. Kyler Gordon, 7 tackles, flying as well. Almost had a handful of different sacks out there. So, yeah, let's see. Overall, defense, solid. Solid, just the run game, guys. That's if we review the defense tomorrow or even like on a Tuesday maybe, all I want to do is just watch the run game. I want to see the run game because I want to see why were we giving up so many yards, because Brisker was flying out there, Edwards was flying out there. Why was it not perfect? Like, why was it not great like we saw last year or week 2? Because we're bringing back a lot of the same people. But also, too, I want to throw this out there. Montez Sweat, I just want to know, like, is he still, like, kind of coming back from an injury? And 39 snaps, Taylor had 27. There was a handful of plays where you saw Taylor out there over where Montez should have been. I don't know. Like, Montez used to play all the time. Now he's playing less. So that's where I'm kind of curious. Did that heel injury that he had, is that still kind of ailing him? I think it was a heel injury that's still ailing him to this day. So that's something that I'm curious on for sure. But let's see what y'all are saying out there. All I'm seeing is Diddy stuff, and what the heck are you guys talking about? Jay Beebs, what did I just walk into, Chad? But Bears Bones, I see out there. How's it going, man? Greg, my friend, looking. Who else is all out there? But yeah, just lots and lots of stuff. But yeah, defense needs to be better. Yeah, all I see is just randomness. I'm like, what is going on with chat? But yeah, let's see. And Bear Me, what's good? Yeah, well, and that's where I'm excited to just see tomorrow, like what's going on with everything. So, but yeah, also for everyone that listens to the podcast, audio only, I'm going to try and think of a better way to like tell y'all what we saw with the tape. And I think I did an okay job with that last week, but I want to make sure y'all are included because yeah, if I did the audio on that, wouldn't sound too great for sure. But let's flip over to the next piece and let's talk special teams, because we got to do the special teams review. I even threw it on its own slide because we called for it. We said, Taylor, you did not do well. And what did Taylor do? Taylor goes out. You know, he kicked one that was a touchback, right? But 3 inside the 20 and had a long of 66. He was booming it. Tory Taylor, great game out there. And we asked for it because we said we did not see any differences with him as the punter. Like, we really didn't. If you're honest with yourself, whenever he was punting, you weren't really like, oh man, this is so much more different. Except for today. Today felt that way where you're like, okay, man, what are you going to do next? So keep it going. Keep that up, because that's what you're hoping for if you're spending a draft pick on a punter. So continue to do that. Continue going. But also, too, very windy in the Windy City. It was actually very windy. So that also might have had some factors, but great punting day overall. So that's the big piece out there. But let's go through, let's see out there. Cairo Santos, 1 of 1. Cairo, just keep on doing your thing. Like for real. That's where I love that we're not talking too much about him, because new long snapper could have been a problem, knock on wood, but he's doing a great job. So now let's kind of wrap some things up. I want to hear all y'all and what y'all think. Who is the most valuable bear out there? So let's see. Let me know what y'all think. Who is your most valuable bear out there? Because I think that there's a couple candidates. Honestly, Tory Taylor. I know that Shy Drax, you said that right away. Like Tory Taylor with the punting. I think that he is definitely a candidate. And then 2, I see out there we got C-Red. What's good, my friend? Taco Man saying Sweat. That's another thing too. Sweat from the offensive perspective. I mean, Sweat was able to get a strip sack, and that was a huge key strip sack in a pivotal point. Then you got Brisker with a sack, a pick. Actually, it should have been 2 picks. Then you have DeAndre Swift going off. And I think if you grab one for each one, it's Swift. In my opinion, it's Swift, Brisker, and Torrey, right? If you do like the three, I want to see what everyone's saying. Greg's saying Caleb, no turnovers. Gypsy Mike saying Bajan. Man, Gypsy Mike loves him some Tyson Bajan. I love that. I love that, man. He's saying with him, we'd be in the playoffs. But then also, Dingo ate my punt returner, Torrey Taylor. Let's see what else. And then we got Swift Brisker from Bear Down C Red. Bears Bones saying Torrey Taylor. Broski saying Taylor, Swift, Brisker. And then Bajan Super Bowl. Yeah. But let's see. Let's see out here. I think to me, I want to go Torrey. But I've been waiting to give Brisker his game. But like Brisker went off. He led the team in tackles, got a sack. He should have had 2 interceptions. I thought that he was just everywhere out there. And this is tough, right? And I think it's those 3, right? The cop out is it's those 3 because they all played incredibly well. They all factored into it. I also love Swift because Swift came back after looking like crap. And one of my favorite things, like just reading his lips, what he said, like, this is my city, like type of thing. Like he's excited. It's like, yeah, that's what we want to see. We want to see that you're angry. We want to see that you're frustrated, that you weren't doing well. They had the picture of him like flexing and everything. And it was like 45 carries for 72 yards, right? Like it's nice to see him now getting yards and doing well. But I'm going to give it to Brisker just because I love Brisker. I enjoy watching Brisker, and I love that he was flying out there. So that's where, to me, I'm giving it to that. But also, to kind of wrap things up, let's kind of see some of the last little pieces out there. James, my friend, what's good? Saying, hey, Brad, how do you feel about the offensive line play? I want to watch it tomorrow. I think it's always tough when you're watching it, but here's the thing. It's not perfect. I think it's definitely not perfect. I think like a lot of this stuff, it's when we see it on tape, right? Because when you put it on tape, you're able to see, okay, who's at fault with this? And also that we can truly see who was open, who wasn't. I saw a couple people out there too in the chat saying, you're yelling at your screen saying, throw the ball, right? Like, because it's that, like, right? It's throw it, right? Get the ball out. So that's where, like, it is. I really do like seeing that, just to be like, okay, is this more of a coverage sack? Is this something different? What was going on? But I think overall, Braxton did not have a good game. We said that was going to be a key matchup, and Verse was like, listen, I know how you struggle, and I'm going to whoop you on the same power move over and over and over and over again. So, yeah, but I want to see it because it was interesting. I know that we talked about this too, that like when Tevin went down, the line kind of seemed like it played better. So, and then Broski saying out there, Pryor was the best offensive lineman today. I thought Pryor struggled at the very beginning, but then because he was going from right to left. And then it seemed like after he got beat like on the first play or so, then he started doing better because he's like, okay, let me reacclimate myself from going to the right to the left, and then started doing better. So yeah, it's not perfect. It's not perfect, but Braxton ultimately, when it comes down to strength, very difficult for him. But that's the big piece with it. But yeah, not feeling great with it. But let's see what y'all are saying. 3% of you saying A, 65% saying B, 26% saying C, and 6% saying D. And I gotta agree with you. I'm kind of right there with y'all. Like, it's kind of this like B, C. Like, I feel like if I put B minus C plus, that would probably be the number one thing that gets voted on, because it's like we said, defense, stop the run more. Like, you got to do that better. If we want to win more games, that has to clean up. But the passing game, it was good, and I got to give credit to Stafford. It seemed like Stafford was getting drilled and just like whipping it in between two people to then get a first down. So I thought Stafford played great and was able to throw it incredibly well. But then you go over to the offense, like that was more of a balanced attack. And like we said, less on Caleb. But at the same time, are we really going to be able? Now, is this the change of the guard of the offense? The change of the guard in the running game? Time will tell. But I hope that they can take this and build some confidence as like, hey, we can run the ball. We can be better like this. But ultimately, great team, good team win. 2-2 now. With that, we're going to wrap things up. Tomorrow we have our All 22 review. Hope to see you out there on YouTube. It's fun time out there. Like I said, I grab a drink. We just relax. We just chill. We just vibe. And we just watch some tape. Just good times all around. So hope to see you all out there. If you're still watching, still listening, hit that like button. It helps out tremendously. Hit subscribe. Comment down below. It could just be a simple bear down. It helps with engagement, helps spread the word, the good word of Unbearable Sports. But appreciate all of y'all out there listening and watching. And with that, Unbearable Sports Podcast, we are out.
Yeah, she's got some nice long hair, and you know that she's a